I'm Vinny Politan. Welcome to a special edition of Court TV Live. Great to have you with us tonight. And just want to let you know, I know you usually see me a little bit later on in the evening. My regular show at its regular time, 8 p.m. Eastern, will return and resume after the New Year break. So January 3rd, 8 p.m., we'll be back to normal here for my program. But tonight, we have 2 hours to bring you, taking a look at some of the big trials that are coming up in 2022. And we begin with what may very well be the biggest trial scheduled for 2022. It's the trial of the so-called Doomsday prophet Chad Daybell, also his wife, Lori Daybell. But the question is whether or not she'll be ready for trial because she's been deemed not competent to stand trial. But take a look right here. This is one of her first appearances in court with a couple of attorneys. And the attorney on her right is Mark Means. That is the attorney that she trusts. That's the attorney who's been by her side from the beginning of all of this. But as we sit here tonight, he is now officially off the case. Let me show you the judge's ruling from a motion made by the state. The state's motion is granted. Means is hereby disqualified as of today's date from representing Lori Vallow Daybell in Fremont County and all matters substantially related thereto. This is a huge development in the case. Mark Means has been Lori Daybell's, as I said, attorney from the beginning. As soon as she was extradited from Hawaii and back in Idaho, he's been there. He is the one that she chose. She's the one who's been with the Daybells for quite some time now, and that's one of the problems with his representation right now. We're going to dive into that in just a moment. But for those of you not familiar with this story, wow, what a story. Chanley Painter has more for us tonight.
September 1st, 2019. Lori Vallow Daybell and her brother Alex Cox moved from Arizona to Rexburg, Idaho, with Lori's children, JJ and Tylee. Rexburg is just a few miles from Salem, Idaho, the home of Chad Daybell, her future husband and co-defendant on charges related to her children's disappearances. September 8th, Lori, Alex, JJ, and Tylee go to Yellowstone National Park for the day. Police say this picture is the last verifiable sighting of Tylee alive. Lori had told friend Melanie Gibb that Tylee is taking classes at BYU, Idaho. But records confirm Tylee was never enrolled. September 19th. Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend visit Lori for the weekend. Lori tells Gibb that JJ has become a zombie. Gibb later tells police nothing seems unusual about his behavior.
This is the courtyard where JJ is seen on camera playing with neighborhood kids. But in September, according to police, the children would go missing.
September 22nd. The last verifiable sighting of JJ by Melanie Gibb and her boyfriend in Lori's home. November 5th, Lori and Chad tie the knot in Hawaii. November 26th, Rexburg police get involved with the search for the kids at the request of police in Gilbert, Arizona.
Rexburg police knocked on this door conducting a welfare check requested by JJ Vallow's grandparents. Lori told police that JJ was with a friend in Arizona. But when that story didn't check out, the police returned the next day with a search warrant, only to find Lori and her new husband Chad Daybell were nowhere to be found.
December 20th. While Lori and Chad are back in Hawaii, Rexburg police announced JJ and Tylee are officially missing. January 3rd, 2020, authorities execute a search warrant on Chad Daybell's property. March 6th. Lori has her first court appearance in Rexburg on felony desertion charges after being arrested in Hawaii. June 9th, police and the FBI return to Daybell's property and discover human remains in a field behind the home. Later, Chad Daybell is arrested and charged with felony counts of destruction or concealment of evidence. June 13th. Authorities confirm the remains belong to JJ and Tylee.
And then Lori Daybell, Chad Daybell, both charged with the murders and also charged with the murder of Chad's wife, Tammy Daybell. Unbelievable story. So Let's get back to today's huge headline in this case. Mark Means booted from the case because of a motion brought by the prosecutor. Let me put up on the screen what the judge found in the reasoning behind removing Mark Means from representing Lori Daybell. The court finds that Mark Means did represent Chad Daybell and Lori Vallow Daybell, so he's her co-defendant, so potential, I guess, conflict there. Mark Means is not qualified to represent a potential death penalty case. However, there is death penalty counsel on the defense team. Mark Means' filings caused the court to question his effectiveness as counsel. That's an interesting one. Let's bring in our think tank tonight, get some reaction here to what has developed. In Atlanta, Georgia, criminal defense attorney Eklund Mercy. In Los Angeles, California, former federal prosecutor Nima Rahmani. And in Phoenix, Arizona, the attorney who represented Jodi Arias, also the author of the book series Trapped with Miss Arias, which you need to read, Kirk Nurmi. Great to see everyone. So I am troubled by this for a couple reasons. Number one, it seems personal because it wasn't long ago that the defense tried to get this prosecutor removed from the case, and then the prosecutor came back and went after Mark Means. And should it be up to the prosecutor who represents a criminal defendant, or should the criminal defendant have that choice? You know, that's the problem I have here. Tell me why I'm right, why I'm wrong. Eklund Mercy.
I think that the circumstances changed once it became a death penalty case. And I do believe that you have to be qualified to do those types of cases.
Well, can he still be on the team? Can he still be on the team? I remember Jose Baez wasn't death penalty qualified, but he had a great teammate with him. Well, he's got a teammate with him.
Well, I think that that's between the state bar and, and that attorney. If that attorney has a problem with the ruling, I think that I don't believe that. I do believe that his inability, just how big this case is, and the fact that there's a death penalty case and the fact that they are looking at death, I wouldn't want to chance it with my bar card. I don't think that the judge wants to chance it with her. I don't think that the judge wants to chance it with theirs. So I think that it's a solid move because it's a death penalty case, unfortunately.
Nima Rahmani, you've read the Constitution. Isn't there some guarantee to, you get to choose who your lawyer is?
Vinny, you can't when you have an actual conflict of interest. And that's what happened here. I read the order. Mark Means had confidential communications with Chad Daybell. We know the defense in this case, Lori's going to point the finger at Chad. Chad's going to point the finger at Lori. That's really the only defense here. So it's not just a potential conflict of interest. There's an actual conflict of interest. And let's talk about what Mark Means did. He violated the attorney witness rule. He submitted declarations to the court about Lori's competence where he was the witness. So now he can be called to impeach his own client potentially. So 2 ethical violations. Mark Means violated Attorney Ethics 101. Do not pass go. Go and take the professional responsibility exam. And the prosecution has the last laugh here. After Means tried to get them disqualified, when Lori talked to the mental health clinician, who talked to the Mormon church attorney, who talked to the prosecutor, when it was Means himself that was violating at least 2 very clear bright line ethical rules here.
But Kirk, aren't there times like if a client really wants someone to represent them, and even if that attorney hypothetically doesn't necessarily want to represent that client, but the client really wants that attorney, doesn't the client/defendant, criminal defendant, have some right under here to make that decision, or is that stripped away?
Well, yeah, Vinny, I mean, that's exactly the place I was in back in 2011 when my client wanted me to stay on the case and the court ordered it. But the difference here is that the privilege that Nima was just talking about belongs to Chad Daybell, not Lori Daybell. It's that confidential information that can be used against him. So he would be the one that would have to waive this privilege issue, not Miss Vallow. So there's where the difference lies. And, we have these other issues, death penalty qualification. I want to speak to that a little bit because we don't know these other members of the team that are death penalty qualified. Are they first chair qualified, or are they just co-counsel qualified? That's the big difference. I know in Arizona that someone to be a lead counsel in a death penalty case has to have tried a death penalty case, at least one as co-counsel. So there's lots of things in play here. And I agree with what you said in the opening. I do think it's a bit personal because of the attacks he made on the prosecutor. But ultimately, I think from a legal perspective, this is a sound decision.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to sit well with Lori Daybell, because she has bonded with Mark Means. She trusts Mark Means. So what happens at this point? What happens to Lori Daybell? She is not competent right now to stand trial. So all this time while she's not competent, now all of a sudden when she becomes competent, she doesn't have her attorney anymore. Does she have a right to delay things? Does she have a right to go out and find a new attorney when she gets competent?
Absolutely. She absolutely has that right. These are not minor charges. She's looking at death penalty charges. So the judge has to give her that right to actually find counsel that's qualified. I would follow that order from, everything that, Means wasn't able to do. Find an attorney that qualified for a case this big is going to take some time. And, we do not know her financial situations. We don't know the payment plan she had with, the attorney prior to. So it's going to take some time. So she should be afforded that opportunity.
I just thought of something, Nima. You're worried about the conflict of interest. Couldn't you just sever the cases and then the conflict goes away?
Well, no, because Means is privy to confidential communications with Chad Daybell. That's his privilege. He has to waive that privilege. He has to waive the conflict of interest. I wouldn't if I were him. Ultimately, his life is on the line, and he's going to trial first. So the cases are essentially already severed. His trial is scheduled. Lori's is going to be pushed out probably till 2023 or even later now. So I don't think that solves the ethical issue, Vinny.
All right. So, Kirk, from your perspective, this is our system working properly, despite the fact that a defendant facing potential death penalty does not get to choose her attorney that she wants.
Well, not when there's that ethical conflict. No. I mean, she can go out and pick another attorney. It's, the Constitution doesn't guarantee us to have the right to the attorney that a person wants, right? They just have the right to that qualified attorney, be it a public defender or be it someone she hires. Although my guess in this case is it's probably going to be a public defense organization, because the amount of financial resources necessary to take on a case like this when it's a death penalty case, 2 attorneys, investigators, everything that goes into a death penalty case, it's likely to fall in the hands of a public defense organization and a qualified death penalty team.
Yeah.
How about I'm spitballing here. What's the difference between the conflict that Mark Means had and if Lori Daybell represented herself? I mean, she would have access to all that same information, wouldn't she? And she actually had it. She could have told Mark Means everything that her husband told her.
Well, Mark Means, he took an oath. That's a completely different thing. He took a whole oath. And then when you represent yourself, you are seen as the attorney. You are seen as somebody who went to law school, who passed the bar, and now you're an attorney. And you can get aid from another attorney. I think that this situation, unfortunately, actually helps Lori Daybell in the sense that it gives her more time, but it also helps with, maybe a defense of duress. The fact that she is mentally incompetent right now and how long it's taking for her to get competent may have issues of what happened during, the children's death or the children's murder. So I think that everything actually helps her out in the end.
All right, folks, take a look. Here's the latest in this case. We've got a trial date for Chad Daybell. Ooh, that's, 2023. Think about that. I forgot. It's like a whole year away. January 9th, 2023. I had to look twice at that. We've got a pretrial conference coming up just around the corner, November of 2022. But we've got a trial date, January 9th, 2023. We will keep an eye on it right here on your front row seat to justice.